A very warm welcome, dear listeners, to the grand premiere of Adalat Diaries, the show where we decode the world of law with wit, wisdom, and a dash of drama. Today, we have a legal powerhouse, a man whose name echoes in the corridors of justice, advocate on record Sri Vikas Vermaji. Sir has served as Assistant Advocate General for Government of Haryana. Sir is also serving as advocate on record before the Honorable Supreme Court, and Sir is also the director of KMS Law Firm in New Delhi, a firm which has made its mark in the legal field. Sir, we welcome you today and thank you so much for giving the time to our viewers out of your busy schedule to our viewers and to us also. सर मेरा पहला सवाल कि बहुत सारे हमारे जैसे लॉ स्टूडेंट्स जो क्रिमिनल लिटिगेशन में अपनी प्रैक्टिस स्टार्ट करना चाहते हैं उन्हें एग्जैक्टली पता नहीं होता कि इस प्रैक्टिस को स्टार्ट कैसे करें. यू हैव स्पेशलाइज्ड इन क्रिमिनल लॉ. What was your motivation behind specializing in criminal law and how has the journey been so far?
Thank you, Dipansh, and for your whole team to organize this podcast session. So you asked very wonderful question for the students and as well as the young lawyers also. So well, it is a great question for me. Criminal law was never a random choice. It is a kind of found me, if you will. When I was in law school, I was always fascinated by the intricacies of the law, how it is incorrect with society and it defines justice and how it can shape people's lives. It is a tough road. Criminal law is a demanding. It is emotionally taxing and it often feels like a battle in the courtroom. But that's also what makes it so rewarding. I have worked alongside brilliant minds, senior lawyers, judges, and law enforcement, and every case, whether it was a success or a setback, has taught me something new.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your experience. It's truly inspiring, sir. आपका experience और insights हमारे listeners के लिए बहुत valuable होगा, especially for those who are willing to start their journey in the criminal law. Thank you for that, sir. सर जब आपने अपनी प्रैक्टिस स्टार्ट की होगी तो यू मस्ट हैव फेस्ड सम डाउट्स सम कंफ्यूजंस व्हिच एवरी लॉ स्टूडेंट फेसेस, राइट? सो how did you confront those doubts and challenges in your early days as a lawyer?
So that early days in the law, they were definitely challenging, but also incredibly formative. When you are starting out, especially in a field like criminal law, it feels like you are walking into a massive ocean, and you are just trying to stay afloat. One of the first hurdles I faced was establishing credibility, and the legal profession, particularly at the Supreme Court, is one of the most prestigious, but also one of the most competitive. I remember trying to get my foot in the door, and it was not always easy. There is a lot of learning to do, both in terms of legal knowledge and how to courtrooms work. You quickly realize that a lot of it's about learning on your feet.
Thank you so much, sir. It's really motivating to hear this. Initial struggles are her profession में होते हैं, whether it is, I mean, any profession. But in the field of law, these challenges are even bigger. Because what happens is when we are in the final year, there is always confusion कि हमें law firm में जाना है या फिर private litigation practice में जाना है, right? So it becomes even a bigger challenge to confront. But your insights are really motivating for young lawyers like us, sir.
Sir, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. You have a long experience in criminal litigation. You have
Yes.
been an assistant advocate general for Government of Haryana, and currently you are an advocate on record in Supreme Court. You are also the director of KMS Law Firm. So, in all this the journey, आपके एक्सपीरियंस में कोई ऐसा मेमोरेबल केस जो आज तक आपके याद में हो, जो अभी तक स्टिक कर गया हो? Because in everyone's life there is something that is stick to them.
I remember a case early in my career where the stakes were incredibly high. It involved the bail of individual who had been wrongly accused of a serious crime. The case had gained a lot of media attention and the public sentiments was strongly against my client. That was the challenging in the itself because as we know that public opinion can sometimes scoot the judgment of people involved in the legal process and also inspired by the media trial as well. But of the most difficult part of the case was not the media frenzy or public outrage. It was the complexity of the legal arguments we had to present. The evidence was circumstantial, and we had to dig deep into the law to find precedents that could help us. We spent hours in research and consulting with the senior advocates and how to prepare the case and basically how to dismantle the prosecution case. Fortunately, after weeks of intense preparation, we were able to present a strong case, and the court ruled in favor of our client, who was acquitted. It was an incredibly fulfilling moment, not just because of the victory, but also because we had upheld the core values of the justice, fairness, impartiality, and belief that everyone deserves the fair trial, no matter the circumstances.
Yes, sir, that's truly interesting to know. So nowadays there is a new trend emerging that is of social media.
Yeah.
सोशल मीडिया इन्फ्लुएंस आजकल मीडिया ट्रायल्स के होने से पहले ही मीडिया ट्रायल्स की राइजिंग इन्फ्लुएंस देख रहे हैं, जिससे कोर्ट की जजमेंट आने से पहले ही हम डिसाइड कर लेते हैं दैट हु इज़ द इनोसेंट पर्सन एंड हु इज़ लाइक विल बी गिल्टी. सो आपके लाइफ में कभी कोई ऐसी केस या आपने कोई ऐसी सिचुएशन फेस की है जिसमें कि आपने अपनी करियर में जहाँ पे ऐसी हैसल देखी हो बिटवीन मीडिया एंड
Certainly, I remember that sometimes if you see that media and public pressures can sometimes create an environment where a case become a less about the law and more about the public sentiment. In such situations, it is critical for lawyers to remain grounded and focused on the legal process. So in this case, we have to remind ourselves that justice is not about public opinion. It is about the facts, evidence, and the law. Our job is to ensure that legal process is fair, impartial, and not influenced by outside factors.
Yes, sir. I think all the listeners must analyze and critically think about this, because every time giving views is not just the thing.
Yeah.
Sir, another question. Like, we are law students. So, immediately after graduation, we have two options: either to go with a corporate law firm or to start an independent litigation practice. Now, you have both the experiences. You are the director of KMS law firm also, then you are practicing as an advocate on record before the Honorable Supreme Court also. So, you are the best person to answer this question. So, in your opinion, a young lawyer should, what should be the ideal approach? Should he go for the independent litigation practice or corporate law firm?
So there is a lot of difference between the law firm and the litigation. When you are working in a law firm, you get the opportunity to work as a part of a larger team, which can be incredibly valuable, especially when dealing with the complex, multifaceted cases. And particularly, law firms have the resource to handle the corporate clients, cross jurisdictional cases, and also provide a more structural support system in the terms of research, marketing, and client management. And it is a more organized and collaborative environment. And for lawyers who enjoy the working in teams or handling the high stakes commercial matters, it is definitely the way to go. And another side, that the litigation practice, particularly in a place like the Supreme Court or High Court, is where you get to really experience the essence of advocacy. You are in the courtroom fighting the case and making the direct or impactful arguments before the judges. So there is something extremely rewarding about the standing in front of a judge and how arguing a case with everything on the line. But as many of you know, litigation can be demanding with long hours and a lot of pressures on the lawyer's mind. So now, personally, I believe there is a balance to be found between both.
Thank you, sir. That's truly insightful to note, because what happens is that corporate law firms often they offer the lucrative salaries. So young lawyers are often inclined towards these corporate law firms and they don't go for litigation. Now that is in a way harming this profession also, because young lawyers don't want to go towards litigation, and this was highlighted by the Honorable Chief Justice also, Justice Sanjeev Khanna. So this harms the profession as well. But as you said, that we need to find a correct balance between these two approaches. Either we are going for the corporate law firm or we are going for the independent litigation practice. Thank you so much, sir, for this answer. Sir, in your opinion, what is the biggest challenge that we are facing in the Indian criminal justice system? You are a seasoned advocate. You have served as the Assistant Advocate General for Government of Haryana. Then you are practicing as the advocate on record before the Honorable Supreme Court. So you are the best person to answer this question. What is the biggest challenge that we are facing, and what reform, in your opinion, is required in this criminal justice system to make it even better?
Yeah. So that's a really important question you have asked. And there are several challenges that the Indian criminal justice system faces today. So, but I am highlighting a few that I believe need a urgent attention. So, first, delays in the judicial process are a major concern. Cases, especially criminal ones, drag on for years, sometimes even decades. That delay not only denies justice to the victim but also prolongs the agony for the accused, who many remain in custody awaiting the trials. It is a system that overburdened, and we need more infrastructure, more judges, and better case management to speed up the trials. And justice delayed is often justice denied. In a nutshell, we need better infrastructure, reforms in investigation practices, and a faster, more accessible justice delivery system. Without those, I fear we will continue to struggle with the same old issues.
It's truly insightful to note, sir. The reforms that you are suggesting are really, groundbreaking, because the challenges that we are facing today in the criminal justice system is not a small challenge. It is impacting the state as a whole. We know
Yes.
that whenever it is committed, it is not committed only against the victim. Rather, it is committed against the whole state. The victim is the entire state. So these reforms will be truly groundbreaking for the criminal justice system in India.
Something.
You asked a very good question on the recent amendments in the criminal law, basically.
Yes.
And while the intention behind these new laws is to make the system more efficient and secure, there is a risk of hasty implementation if we do not pay close attention and how to these laws are framed and applied. They could end up the overstepping, leading to potential violation of individual rights or unfair judgments. That said, I do not think that with the right framework and effective judicial security, these laws have been potential to improve justice delivery. The key will be ensuring that the application of these laws is both fair and transparent. It is about striking that the balance between the public safety and individual freedoms. That's where the constant dialogue and reforms come into the play.
Yes, sir. I think your views will surely help our listeners and viewers. Sir, if you are given a chance to reform something in our new criminal laws, so what would you change and why? Like,
So that is a thought-provoking question. If I had the power to reform one thing in the criminal law, I would focus on the speed and efficiency of the trials. Our justice system is often plagued by the long delays, especially in criminal cases. Accused individuals, whether the innocent or guilty, can be stuck in a legal limbo or for the years. This delay is not just about a matter of inconvenience, but it also very foundation of justice that which is delayed and which is to ensure that the people are either convicted or the acquittal in the timely manner. So we need better infrastructure, better management, and streamlining process using the technology effectively and ensuring that the courts are well equipped with the resource and can help to reduce these delays significantly. In the criminal justice system, time can be everything. An innocent person should not have to wait 4 years just to prove their innocence. And a guilty person should not delay the course of justice with endless adjournments. So, timely justice is a cornerstone of a functioning legal system. And if we can address this bottleneck, I believe that the entire system will become far more the effective and fairer.
Yes, sir. As everyone believes in judiciary, so they must abide by these things.
Yeah.
And they need to deliver everything in time so that people can keep on trusting them.
Public faith is very important in a criminal justice system. If public loses faith, because when the trials are delayed, when the justice is delayed, so there is erosion of public trust also. So that is also harming the system. Another question, sir. In today's digital age, what we are seeing is that cyber frauds, then we have the deepfake crimes, AI-assisted evidences. So these are the new challenges that are emerging in the criminal justice system that we have today. So from your perspective, how well are we prepared to deal with these new age challenges? Also, sir, recently we saw many reports and cases where cyber criminals have resorted to crimes like digital arrests, and many professionals have been victims of these crimes. So, do you think that the new criminal laws are effective enough to deal with these new age challenges?
Oh, that's a great question. One that's becoming more and more critical as technology advances. Honestly, the legal system in India, like in many parts of the world, is still catching up to the challenges posed by the modern crimes. Cyber fraud is one of the major concerns with the rise in digital transaction and online activities. Basically, you know that the white collar crime have been become major crime in our society, and our laws often struggle to keep with these rapid developments. Basically, the Information Technology Act, for example, was passed in 2000, and while it was a step in the right direction, it has not kept pace with the explosion of a new technology like cryptocurrency and the white collar crime and the other online crimes with relate to the credit card, debit cards, and then there are other issues of deepfake technology. The use of manipulated videos or images to mislead people is a large, huge problem, basically, especially in high stake cases like defamation or political scandals. Concurrently, our legal system does not have the tools or to the specially laws to easily address such issues. The courts and police forces are still learning how to handle the deep fakes, and digital forcings, and we need to better equip it to identify these as evidence or even as a tool of crime.
That is truly insightful, sir. Now, the practice that we are seeing is that many professionals, like many retired IPS officers, IAS officers, even IT professionals, they are falling trap to these digital arrest scams, and you know the offenders are taking out millions and billions of rupees from these professionals also. So this is very concerning thing, that this is not only about the uneducated class, but the educated class, the elite society, they are also falling victim to these scams, right? So what I believe is that there is awareness deficit also. There is a gap of awareness in these crimes also. So another question: how do you assess the bail system in India? The Honorable Supreme Court has time and again reiterated the position that bail is rule and jail is exception. But what we are seeing is that majorly all bail applications are reaching up to the Honorable Supreme Court, which is leading to choking of justice. The ordinary duty of the Honorable Supreme Court is not to clear off the bail applications, but the Honorable Supreme Court is bound to do that since the lower courts are not granting bail. So, how do you see this? How do you see the bail system in India, and what reforms do you suggest?
So, in my opinion, the bail system in India, while rooted in the presumption of innocence, certainly face some challenges. As someone who regularly appears before the Supreme Court in matters related to the bail, I can say that the process can sometimes be lengthy and inconsistent. The sheer volume of the cases and the lack of adequate infrastructure in lower courts often delay the grant of bail, which can be a serious issue, especially when it comes to a non-violent offenders or those who are eventually acquitted. One of the main challenge I see in the overlines of on the custodial remands. Often people are kept in the jail for a long period simply because they are unable to meet the bail conditions. This is the particularly problematically for the poor and the marginalized who may not have the financial resource to secure the bail. So it is my concern regarding the bail.
What is happening is that since many under trial prisoners are in the jail and they are not getting the bail, so the effectively punishment is already started before the conviction or before the trial has even begun, right? So this is a very concerning thing, and it even amounts to human rights violation also, not only about the fundamental rights but also the human rights. So your insights are truly valuable, and this is very important for the young legal professionals also, who will be arguing in the human rights cases and who will be arguing before the Honorable Supreme Court in the fundamental rights cases. So your insights are really insightful, sir.
So as we discussed about new criminal laws, sir, and there is a major change about handcuffing. In new criminal laws, there is a provision that any person can be, like police can use handcuffs for any person who is accused of any heinous crime. But earlier there was it was different. Until or unless it appears that person or the accused is trying to run, they not use handcuffs. So what is your take on this new provision? Do you it might lead to violation of human rights, or is it good enough to maintain the justice system?
This is a very important question. Handcuffing as a practice has always been the controversial. Under the new law, allowing more the frequent handcuffing without the judicial oversights raises the concern. On the one hand, the law enforcement might argue that it is a necessary tool to prevent the escape to ensure the safety, especially with the high-risk individuals or those who are accused of a serious crimes. But on the other side, it does have the potential to be misused and proportionally affect the certain groups. Basically, for it to be a necessary tool for a law enforcement, it is crucial that it is used only when the absolutely required and under the strict guidelines. Judicial scrutiny ensures that these powers are exercised appropriately and these individual rights are not trampled upon. We need a balance between the security and the civil liabilities, basically, and that is the whether the reform should focus on ensuring the accountability and the preventing the misuse.
Yes, sir. Actually, we need to maintain the equilibrium between police power and then human
Yeah.
rights. So, sir, under this BNSS, Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita, there is a provision introduced for extended custody period, which was not part of CRPC earlier. So, do you think we are moving towards a system where accused start to suffer even before trial begins? So, जैसे बहुत से केसेस होते हैं, मैंने देखा है कि लोग महीनों तक कस्टडी में रह के अपनी सजा कर चुके होते हैं और बिना किसी कन्विक्शन के. आपकी नज़र में कोई ऐसा केस हुआ या आपकी नज़र में कोई ऐसा केस जो आपने देखा हो, और ये कैसे एक हमारी न्याय व्यवस्था को इम्पैक्ट कर रहा है? Do you think it's a violation of human right? And is it necessary step to strengthen the judiciary or criminal justice system?
The real risk is that the legal system start to prioritize the perception of a security of or the pressure to quickly address cases rather than the focusing on the ensuring a fair and timely trial. It could undermine public trust in the system, especially if people begin to feel that the system is punishing individuals prematurely without due process. If justice is delayed, in many ways, justice is denied. So it is crucial that the system ensures speedy trials and arguments that guarantees that the custody is not used as a substitute for a proper legal proceedings.
Yes, sir. It's all about balance, how you maintain the balance.
So nowadays, we are witnessing a new trend that young lawyers are starting their practice directly before the Honorable Supreme Court without any experience before the trial courts. So, in your opinion, is this a correct approach? Don't you think that it will impact the legal acumen and skills of the young lawyers in the future?
This is an interesting topic. First of all, let me say that it is absolutely possible for young lawyers to start their practice directly from the Supreme Court and High Court. But it can certainly be beneficial. The Supreme Court, being the highest court of the land, our India, deals with very important cases, constitutional matters, and high-stake matters. Basically, comes to the Supreme Court, and it is a great place to learn, challenge yourself, and gain the immense exposure. You get to work on landmark cases and be involved in legal issues that shapes the country's future, which is an invaluable experience. However, here is where the balance needs to come in. While starting in the Supreme Court can be a tremendous opportunity, it is important to have a foundation in the trial court practice. Why? Because the trial courts are where the actual courts, basically where you learn the trial and where you see the evidences and how to record the statement of witnesses. So it is the foundation of the case start from the basically trial court, that how to cross examination, how to argue cases before the judge, who's not just looking at a legal principle, that human side of the things forms the bad rock of any lawyer's career, especially in the criminal law. So, in my opinion, that young lawyers should start practice from the trial court. So, because the trial court, the young lawyer can learn so many things. Because first of all, that clients come to the trial court, and you need to draft legal notice, and you see the how to make the summons, how to service it, how the evidences, arguments. So there is a long process to conclude the trial. So it is the best way for the young lawyers to learn from the trial court, in my opinion.
That's truly insightful, sir. Now, what is happening is that when we start the practice directly from the Supreme Court, so we are dealing with the cases involving constitutional disputes, the administrative disputes. So these issues are really important. But what we are missing out is the basics of the criminal justice system or the basics of criminal law.
Yes,
That
yes.
only learn in the trial court. So what you are suggesting is that we need to strike a balance
Yes.
between these two practices. Really insightful, sir. Sir, if a law student aims to specialize in criminal litigation, as you have specialized, so what practical skills should be developed from the very starting? As a law student, what areas should we focus on right now to excel in criminal law practice?
So the first skill I would highlighting is research and legal knowledge. So when you study your law in your law college, so what you used to read generally the bare Act. So you need to learn the interpretation of the legal words and legal phrases also, and how to connect with that the acts between the both. That just like you should know about that the bare act of the contract act with regard to the civil procedure for like that other civil rights for in the inside of that we are concerned with the criminal law, that you should know that how to connect with the IPC, CRPC, and Indian Evidence Act as well. And you should how to the basic constitutional approach. Basically, you have to learn the basic constitutional approach. So you cannot excel in the criminal litigation if you don't have a strong foundation in researching the case law, statutes, and the legal principles. So next, oral advocacy is the absolutely key. As a litigator, your ability to argue efficiently in front of the judge can make or break a case. And another is the attention to detail is something you can never overlook, whether it is a scrutinizing the witness testimonies or analyzing the evidence. The smallest details could be a turning point of your case. The ability to support inconsistently or even the most minor piece of evidence can sometimes have a huge impact on a trial.
Thank you, sir, for the, you know, what we are observing is that when we are in the law school, we are ignoring important competitions like the moot court competitions, client counseling competitions, debates. So these are very essential for a lawyer, for a law student who aims to specialize in litigation. Because at the end of the day in the career, we are doing the same practices before the judge or before the bench, right? So these practices are very important. Thank you so much, sir, for this answer.
Sir, you recently hosted this national conference on implementation of new criminal laws, and where you invited very esteemed guests like Honorable Justice Rajesh Bindal, sir, from Supreme Court. Then you also invited Mr. Brajen Chair, Additional Solicitor General of India, and Dr. Rajshri Singh, IG of Haryana Police, Mr. Maqsood Ahmed, DCP Haryana Police, and Mr. Sandeep Garg, who is district and session judge. They like all these esteemed people were invited. So how was your experience hosting these people? Like in this conference, you discussed about new criminal laws and all those issues. So what was your insights from that conference?
So the recent conference on the implementation and challenges of the new criminal law was very significant and enlightening the period. It brought together a diverse panel of experts, including the Justice Rajesh Bindal, sitting judge of Supreme Court, and Vijender Chahar, ASG from Supreme Court, and Dr. Ashri IG ma'am, and other judges and officers, and several esteemed colleagues. The discussion were particularly valuable and in understanding the involving the nature of criminal law in India and the step being taken to address the contemporary challenges. So, in this conference, Justice Rajesh Bindal insights on the judicial perspective were thought-provoking, especially on how the courts are adapting to the new legal landscape and the ongoing efforts to ensure that justice is delivered expeditiously while maintaining the fairness. One of the main takeaways was the consequence on the need for the comprehensive training and capacity building for all the stakeholders. And basically, in this conference, that Justice Rajbindal had some points with regard to the young lawyers, police officers, and public prosecutors that state have the training camps to ensure to the new laws because so many sections have been changed, some procedure have been changed, and old sections have been deleted and new sections have been added. So I think it is in need of the training in the states. Every state conduct the training sessions for the young lawyers basically, including the law enforcement, the judiciary, and the legal professionals. The new criminal laws introduce the several reforms aimed at strengthening the legal framework, but their success depend on how well they are implemented in the practice. This is the main concern, the new criminal law.
Definitely, sir. Discussing with all those legal minds must have been an enriching experience. So before we come to end of the session, I would like to know, sir, like, would you like to give any advice or anything? Would like to say some?
Yeah, correct. So I advise to the basically young lawyers or the law students of the any law schools here in India. So you should maintain the three things in your school law school times, or even after the law graduate, that your research work should be very high, and you should involved in the research work. And basically, you have to read the landmark judgments of the Supreme Court. And second thing, that you have to interpret the Bare Act basically, because if you know about how to interpret and how to link with other the acts. And third thing is that you should participate in the moot courts and other legal activities, like you have to participate in the national conferences, state conferences, and in seminars, and you should organize the webinars like you, because these learnings makes you the success in your life. So this is the real mantra, and you should have the good company, and you should join the senior of lawyers offices and retired judges, sitting judges, where you get the opportunity. Only you have to learn, and my best wishes to you that you are doing very well in the field of law. And I think this impacts whole legal fraternity. I think Dipansh and your whole team, my best wishes to you for organizing this well session.
Thank you so much, sir. It's really good to hear from you. Before we end this discussion, I really acknowledge your presence here, and it's very like dream come true to host such senior of lawyers with us, with young
Thank you.
lawyers like young students like us. Thank you, sir.
Thank
So
you.
today's discussion was truly enlightening. Your insights on new criminal laws, bail system, media trials, and cyber crimes were all very valuable. ये सेशन सिर्फ लॉ स्टूडेंट्स ही नहीं, आई थिंक नॉर्मल व्यूअर्स के लिए भी काफ़ी आई ओपनिंग रहेगा.
Correct.
Your journey, your experience, and your guidance have given us a new perspective towards law. And understanding the complexities of criminal law litigation from a senior lawyers is very different. And
Certainly.
we sincerely hope that our listeners also find this episode really helpful. And sir, we wholeheartedly thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and to be part of this podcast. Your valuable thoughts and experience made our discussion very meaningful. So in the next episode, we'll return with a new guest and on a new legal topic. So until then, stay tuned with Adalat Diaries. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Thank you.